Subjuntivo, finales. When we say finales, what we mean is phrases that mean so that, for the purpose of. These are phrases that have an end goal in mind. And that end goal is what we mean when we say finales, or phrases of finality. The first set we're going to look at is a series of 5 phrases that are going to have indicative in the second verb. We'll look at the same sentences and see how they would have subjunctive in the second verb. So let's look at 5 finales phrases. So that can also be for the purpose of, with the objective of, again with the purpose of, in order to, and with the intention of. In Spanish, the first phrase will be para, with the objective of, becomes con el objetivo de, with the purpose of, becomes con el propósito de, in order to, becomes con el fin de, or a fin de, with the intention of, becomes con el intento de. Now let's see how these 5 phrases are used in a sentence using the indicative in the second verb. Estudio la historia para saber la verdad. I study history to know the truth, for the purpose of knowing the truth. I study history with the objective of knowing the truth. I study history with the purpose of knowing the truth. I study history in order to know the truth. And I study history with the intention of knowing the truth. Notice there's no change of subject here. I study to know, I study to know, I study to know, I study to know. I'm doing all of these things. I study for the purpose of, with the end goal of, knowing the truth. I'm not studying for the sake of studying. I'm studying for the sake of an end goal, of a final. So these phrases, para, con el objetivo de, con el propósito de, a fin de, and con el intento de, can be followed by the indicative. Sometimes, however, the finales are going to be followed by the subjunctive. So let's look at how we're going to use them with subjunctive in the second verb. So that, with the objective that, instead of with the objective of, with the purpose that, in order that, with the intention that. Now these are going to be a little bit different. That is going to be que as a connector now in these next sentences. I study history to know the truth now becomes I teach history so that you know the truth. Notice what happened as we changed subjects. I teach so that you know. So because the first verb is I and the second verb is you, a different subject, that second verb now has to go in the subjunctive. And the que connector has to be added in as well. Enseño la historia para que sepas la verdad. I study history with the objective of knowing the truth. I teach history with the objective that you know the truth. Enseño la historia con el objetivo de que sepas la verdad. Notice again we have a change in subject, so the second verb has to go in the subjunctive, and we add que as the connector. I study history with the purpose of knowing the truth. Enseño la historia con el propósito de que sepas la verdad. I study history in order to know the truth. Enseño la historia a fin de que sepas la verdad. I teach history in order that you know the truth. I study history with the intention of knowing the truth becomes enseño la historia con el intento de que sepas la verdad. Almost the same sentence all the way through. So there are really 5 ways to say essentially the same thing. Instead of using para que all the time to say so that, you can now say not only para que, but now you know how to say con el objetivo de que, con el propósito de que, a fin de que, and con el intento de que, knowing that that second verb is going to flip to the subjunctive if you use 2 separate subjects in the sentence. Que is going to be thrown in as a connector as well between those 2 subjects. So if we're going to use these phrases in the indicative, we'll have para con el objetivo de, con el propósito de, a fin de, and con el intento de. If we use them in the subjunctive and change subjects between verb 1 and verb 2, we need to add that K, and it changes what the sentence means a little bit. So that, with the objective that, with a purpose that, in order that, and with the intention that. Those are the main finale phrases both in the indicative and in the subjunctive mode.